a suitcase.
Rally Town Sports fam, good evening and welcome to the show. As you can see, we're obviously missing a few of the counterparts here. Fun fact: they are both in Colorado on separate business. So,
Allegedly.
I'm not sure how that worked out on the same weekend, but or same week. But you boys don't have to tell us. We already know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Corey, what's up, man? How was your week?
What's up, buddy? Didn't start too great on Sunday, but we're doing all right.
Tough one.
We're coming back. I was okay as of like yesterday. Could finally start thinking about next week. As I told you, I snapped at you in the group chat. That's on me, Bob. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I it was an honest feeling at the time, and I think it rang true. Like, I'll be good by Tuesday. Just don't talk to me right now. I think that's just how I am. Immediately after the game, jersey off, street clothes on, out in the yard, playing with the kids, helping them ride their bikes, just moving on. Had to do it. It was. We'll get to that.
There's not much else you can do. Obviously, we'll dive into that here in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't play the game. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So some interesting outcomes week one. I'll go ahead and go over the leaderboard here. So from chat, we had 3 people tied for first.
Wow.
Josh, Pops, and Ariel. All of you were 13-3. And then Ryan and Tez were 12-4. So a pretty solid effort from the gentlemen in the chat. So well done.
Very well done.
As far as the panel is concerned, there were no ties. Aaron, it was a make or break week for him. He obviously took a lot of risk. Did not pan out. 8-8. So tough start. Corey, you were next at 11-5. Todd came in at 12-4, and I led the way at 13-3.
What a week, Bob! What a week for you. You had 1 goal coming into this season, Robert. You had 1 goal coming into this season. This is what the goal was. Don't be in the basement. I tell you what, Bob. Bob Reno. If you're not into the whole brevity thing.
I would have been 14-2 had the Cardinals pulled off an upset for the ages. So,
and they looked to be about ready to do it.
And it was damn close. And
football game.
I was right there. I'm in a last man standing league, and my dad's in it as well. He had the Bills and I had the Bears, and we were both fucking sweating.
Yeah.
Sweating, especially with the Bills. Bills almost gave that one up.
Bears at first.
Bears at first, and then Will Levis decided to start throwing touchdowns
to the other team.
Yeah, just to the wrong team. But,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Such is life.
Things happen.
How about my Bowling Green Falcons on Saturday? How about let's give it up for the MAC. Let's give it up for the MAC on Saturday. Oh, you didn't watch it? Let me fill you in.
Sure.
Leading by 4 over number 8 Penn State in Happy Valley at halftime. Played pretty good football, leading in the third quarter at one point as well. Then, the number 8 team in the country played like the number 8 team in the country.
Sure.
Versus the unranked potential MAC champion Bowling Green Falcons.
Sweating, had to shower after the game. Yeah, that was brutal.
And then NIU going into South Bend getting paid $1.4 million.
What an incredible
smacking the Irish.
Ryan, if you're in here, I'm sorry. Ryan, big Notre Dame fan. So
is that Jester?
Yeah, good old Jester.
What's up, Jester?
Yeah, tough weekend. Tough weekend being a Notre Dame fan and a Bengals fan. So not obviously not the Saturday Sunday combo you want. If
you're both of those, yeah.
If those are your allegiances, so
yeah. DJ Lagway got the start for the Gators. Big 5-star freshman, broke the true freshman record for passing yards in a single game, over 400 passing yards. Yeah, they played a high school team, but still pretty cool.
Still counts.
Still pretty cool.
No, that's sick. Any What would you say was your biggest like shock from last week on Sunday?
I think it has to be the Bengals. I don't know that there's any other way that you can slice it. At the same time, I say that I'm like, oh, a Zach Taylor team starts slow. Let me know if you've heard this story before.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was like, it wasn't my biggest shock.
It wasn't, but at the same time, like
they should have gotten it done.
They should have won that football game.
Yeah.
They should have won that football
No
game.
excuses.
I guess to give some credit, a big shock is how well Jacoby Brissett played.
Yeah.
More so than just how poorly the Bengals tackled.
Well, I mean, it's not his first look at the Bengals, though.
Sure.
You know, he got him twice last year.
Sure.
You know?
No, he didn't.
Or once.
Yeah.
He played him once. But, you know, he's had some looks at the Bengals throughout his career as of late. So we'll dive into the Bengals Chiefs. I would definitely say that, like, I'm like, if the trend continues, then Tez owes me a pizza, not the other way around.
About Caleb Williams?
Because Caleb Williams looked like hot garbage. There was not one thing about that game that he did well.
Yeah, first rookie quarterback in a long time to win his debut, but it wasn't because of him, is because of the rest of the team. But I mean, I'm not ready to write him off yet.
Not ready to write him off, but he's got a long way to go.
There's only one real team that after week one, as we kind of get to the end of our week one reactions and start, I think we're heading towards picks here soon, but
yeah,
there's only one team that I'm actually really ready to write off after week one because it's consistent with what we saw last year, and that's the Carolina Panthers.
Oh,
they're a bad football team.
There might be some colleges that can compete with them.
No, I will never subscribe to that. I'll never subscribe to that. But
I know.
They're terrible.
They're bad. They are horrendous. You know, the Saints are I would say a middle of the road football team, and they laid the wood.
Mm-hmm.
What was 35 points or whatever it was, like
was
spread.
The difference. Yeah,
something nuts. But yeah, you know, Caleb Williams just, I don't know. He just didn't look good. The Bears defense, yeah, they're playing the Titans. I think the biggest thing for me about that game was that the Titans defense isn't anything to write home about. And he still didn't look great.
I think it says more about Will Levis than it does Caleb Williams, that game, I mean.
Oh, for sure. Will Levis looked like a scared kid, like just walking out onto the field, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Like that last pick six that he threw where he was falling down and then like just like backhanded the ball and then like they just ran in the end zone. Like that was just so bad. Ariel said I was good last week. I only have 3 games incorrectly. Yeah, you mirrored all my picks, Ariel. We had the same record.
Hey, that's why he tunes in.
Hey, absolutely. That's what I mean. If you're 13-3 week in and week out, if you're in a pick'em league, there's a good chance that you're gonna win whatever league you're in.
You're gonna do great.
So, yeah. So we've got a pretty exciting divisional matchup tomorrow. Bills Dolphins. Yeah, this might be the first like big divisional matchup that we've seen this year. Rolling back through the week 1 games. I don't see any. I mean, Texans Colts isn't anything crazy. I mean, Bills Dolphins is always fun to watch.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Obviously, it's primetime football. It's Thursday night. Mm-hmm. First game of the week, short week for both teams. Raheem Mostert is out, so they're going to have to lean on a tattered Devon Achane and the rest of that.
Did he practice today?
I don't know.
I'll check.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I know he was questionable.
Yeah, he's banged up. Obviously Tyreek Hill, got arrested. So some drama off the field for the Dolphins. Just a lot going on down there in good old Dade County.
Big time.
But
Achane is questionable as of today.
Did it say whether or not he practiced or at least dressed?
The estimated return date is tomorrow.
Okay. All right, yeah. So obviously we're getting into the picks. Pops is taking the Bills.
Limited participant on Wednesday was Achane.
Limited, so he was probably just no pads, just walking through. Yeah,
or working out on the rehab field typically.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Bills coming off an interesting week, struggling obviously against the Cardinals, who I think we can all agree were not a great team coming into the season. They got out of there 3 points, 4 points, whatever it was. It was something.
They won by 6.
6. Okay. It wasn't a full touchdown, but and the Dolphins. The Dolphins last week, they had the Jaguars. That game was also pretty close. So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting week. This is like the Bills Dolphins. I feel like they always flip. Somebody wins. This is like a series split. So Todd and Aaron have the Dolphins. Pops has the Bills, and Ariel and Josh are taking the Dolphins. Corey, who you got?
Yeah, this is going to be a great football game. I'm excited about. They tend to get a lot of these early season Thursday night games right. I think they've done it back-to-back weeks, so it's exciting. Sure. Should be a lot of fun. I am concerned about the injuries for the Dolphins in terms of, what we're going to get out of that running back room. However, I think this is a passing team. In the Miami Dolphins. So I think that, this Mike McDaniel offense is built to kind of plug and play at the running back position and just, utilize tools elsewhere. And they've got them aplenty there. You saw what Kyler was able to do with weapons in Arizona against his tattered Bills defense, putting up 28 points. And you're going to see that again on Thursday night. The only way to where, this becomes, I think, an issue from the running back perspective is if you get kind of light years ahead in terms of what this Bills secondary is capable of.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I am going to take the Dolphins at home. I think the Bills can easily get back on them. When things come together a little bit more for them in that secondary, just a couple months down the road. But give me the Dolphins.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to follow suit here, guys. Strictly just because the Dolphins are at home, and the Bills really struggled in the passing game last week on defense, and this is the strong suit of the Dolphins. So, and they obviously had Tyreek Hill, and I don't know if there's anybody even remotely close to being able to stick with him on that team. So, but you made a great point with the plug and play running backs. I mean, last year was obviously we had a larger pool. To what am I looking for? Pull from, I guess, larger pool to pull from.
Yeah,
more data.
Yeah,
more data. And it didn't matter if it was A-Chain or Mostert, whoever the hell they put back there, they absolutely dominated. So, taking the Dolphins here, and then leading things off on Saturday, we've got the 49ers, who are coming under some criticism for the Christian McCaffrey incident.
Yeah.
So what we thought was just calf soreness turned out to be, Achilles and tendonitis, and a lot more severe than everybody had thought. Now, being a Christian McCaffrey owner in a fantasy football league, this is infuriating, especially since I was asleep by the time the game started. So I
yikes.
I took a 0.
Tough.
Took a 0 for Christian McCaffrey, who they said was on track to play. And Jordan Mason came out and said Friday that he was told he was going to start.
Wow.
Jordan Mason had a great game, not taking anything away from him. Jordan Mason's good talent. But for fantasy football owners, that's a little frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, at this point, if I'm the 49ers, I'm putting Christian McCaffrey on the PUP list for 4 weeks and letting him get healthy. Like, there's no point. You've got Jordan Mason. He's doing a really nice job. That offense doesn't need a whole lot of help. These first 4 weeks of the season, the schedule's kind of light for them. So might as well let him sit for 4 weeks, get healthy, bring him back in full speed. Carp, what up, baby? Obviously the 49ers are playing the Vikings at home. I'm going to take the Niners this week. I don't think there's really not too much to talk about here. The Vikings, I don't think they can keep up with the Niners being an elite offense in the NFC over there.
No, I think that the Niners looked like the best team of football last week.
They look fantastic.
I don't know, and that's the thing is with small sample size, you don't know if it is it more the Jets, is it the Niners. I wasn't surprised at how they started the season. I think this is a classic 49ers thing. As long as this team stays healthy, they typically ride through this. Usually as we start to get a little bit towards the beginning of November, they're banged up and limping through. But right now they're healthy and they're rolling people, and this is just what they do. This is how Kyle Shanahan team starts the season. And I was impressed by the Vikings. Let me just I don't think everybody was on them, but a lot of people were on them to win against the Giants, but not everybody was. But they just dominated that. They just showed that their roster is really complete, and they've got a lot of weapons around this team. And I really like like I said last week, I really like what Kevin O'Connell's doing. I like the direction of that football team. If JJ can be, above average, I think that this team is going to absolutely compete for the division on a regular basis for a while. Obviously, we have to wait a year to see that. But I like what they're doing from a front office perspective. I've liked that for the last couple of years. They seem to just keep getting better every year, at least just from a depth perspective, specifically defensively. So you got to like that. But that said, the Niners, they're just you can't bet against them, especially in this money line pick format that we do here. There's no way I'm taking anybody else.
Yeah, no, that's they looked fantastic. I went back and watched the highlights, and man, they just execute everything they do. They do it just to a T.
Yeah,
it is a beautiful thing to watch. Josh, Pops, Ariel, you all have the Niners. For those that aren't here, you can obviously rewatch these on YouTube and Facebook, but I will reach out to the two people that participated last week and get your picks if you don't end up hopping in here at some point. Moving on, we got the Patriots coming off a win last week. Obviously, big upset. I don't think anybody was expecting them to take one home against the Bengals. And then Seahawks, taking care of business in Mile High against Bo Nix. So two teams that we were split on. Well, we were split on the Seahawks, but not the Patriots. But two teams that we didn't think would really have an opportunity to even start the season 2-0. One of them is going to be 2-0. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So,
I think you could have convinced people looking at the schedule that the Seahawks go 2-0.
For sure.
But
not the Patriots.
Favored in both games, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember what the spread was last week with them against with them.
I think they were like
Broncos.
a 4.5 point favorite.
But they were the home team. So at home, against a rookie quarterback, that's not too terribly tough of an opener. Patriots on the road, that was a tough opener. And I don't know, just walk me through it, man. Walk me through it. Walk me through what the Patriots did well last week.
Yeah, I think it all started with Ramondre Stevenson.
For sure.
118 of his 120 yards were after contact. And again, is that more of an indictment of the Bengals' ability to tackle? Maybe so. But I think you can't just give it all to that. You do have to give a little bit of credit to that offensive line for the Patriots in the run game specifically.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that we do need to make sure we talk about is that the Patriots were the most pressured team in football last week. That Bengals front seven generated more pressures than any team in football last week. They just couldn't close the deal, right? It's not about necessarily always about pressures, but that was happening. So look for that to be, an area to watch out for as they host the Seahawks. But yeah, it was Ramondre Stevenson, definitely. They also did a really good job keeping the lid on the top of that Bengals offense. How full go was that offense? How much scheming was for Jamar Chase, since they didn't really know if he was going to even play until literally the day of, which is fucking annoying, but it is what it is at this point. I think we all know now. We'll talk about the Bengals. Sorry.
Yeah. It's very easy to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it is. We'll get there though. The Patriots did a really good job keeping the top on. I am going to go with the Seahawks in this one. I do not think lightning is going to strike twice. Jacoby Brissett's extremely familiar with the way that Lou Anarumo's defensive schemes are. As you said, he had a lot of exposure to them last year. So I think he was pretty prepared for that game. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen again. Go ahead and give me the Seahawks on the road. Plus, little stat here. I think the Seahawks are actually really good in the last 7-8 years at 1 p.m. starts. I think they've got a fairly decent record at 1 p.m. starts, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go on the other side of things here. This is probably one of the few games I'm gonna flip the script on, because I think this is a game that one of the few that you can actually take the other way and be fairly confident with it. Ramondre looked great. Brissett looked awesome, and as you said, he handled a lot of pressure last week, and he handled it well. And I don't think Seattle's defense is even close to being on par with where the Bengals are at. So I'm going to take the Patriots for the mere fact that they are at home. I don't know what the spread on this game is, but I would assume that it's probably pretty close. To be in just kind of a dead line.
Seahawks -3. I guess Seahawks -3.5 is what my guess.
I would assume it's going to be one of those rat 3.5 lines.
So it is Seahawks -3.5. Yeah,
3.5. Yep, there it is.
That's what it opened at, and that's where it remains.
Got it. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Patriots at home. I love what Ramondre is doing. I think he creates a nice balance for that offense. And, from a receiver perspective, they don't have a ton there in New England, for Jacoby to throw to, but he found a way to get it done last week. And I think they have a shot to get it done this week against the Seahawks. So I'm going to take the Patriots as a lone wolf. No howls. Howoo. So yeah, Aaron and Todd have the Seahawks. Obviously, they've got the Niners and the Dolphins. So we're pretty on par with picks so far up until that one. So moving on to one of the most exciting games that nobody's going to watch on Sunday. We've got the New York Football Giants headed not very far, take on the Commanders. Yeah, this should be an interesting game to watch.
Interesting part about this game, Bob, is that it opened with Commanders as the favorite at -3, and the line has moved to now only -1.5.
What?
So, yeah, Commanders -1.5.
Yikes! That's
pretty
horrible.
Interesting. I'm gonna look and see if there's any news surrounding this as to why this line is moving the way it is. But yeah, not a lot of faith.
Daniel Jones played so well last week.
Yeah, Daniel Jones just crushing it. 22 of 42, 186 yards and 2 interceptions. So
excellent. Did you see that stat where he's thrown more pick sixes than he has touchdowns since signing that contract?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
That's
pretty brutal.
And
to be honest with you, watching the Commanders, I liked what they were able to do on offense for most of that part of that game. I think the Buccaneers played a really good football game, came out ready to go, but I liked what the Commanders were able to do, and I don't have any faith in the Giants. So give me the Commanders. I think this is a pretty easy pick.
Yeah, this should be an easy pick for everybody. The Commanders played a much better team last week in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they almost pulled that one out. Yep. So Giants should be easy work. Giants, Panthers, if you're picking them at any point this season to win a football game, you're doing something wrong. So that's all I'm going to say. Speaking of the Panthers, they're at home against the Chargers. Yikes. How many points is that Jim Harbaugh offense going to score this week?
So the really cool part about this line is it's gone the opposite way. This opened at even odds at +3. Panthers +3. And it's since swelled to +6.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Again, this is a slam dunk for me.
The Panthers to cover 3 points, they really, that existed?
Yeah, it's swelled to +6. Give me the I'd take the Chargers in the spread here all day, every day. I have zero faith in this team. Why would I?
No, absolutely. I would take the Chargers +10.
Wow.
There's no world. They got absolutely just shellacked by the Saints. And the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins looked incredible last week.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
It's finally nice to see him healthy.
Yeah, knock on wood, right? You got to stay healthy. Keep him out on the field. He's a lot more fun to watch when he's out on the field. That's for sure.
I'm just really happy to not see him in purple this year. That's it.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
I'm just very happy that he's not wearing a Ravens uniform.
Yeah, I don't have to see him twice a year. It's fun.
Yeah, you don't have to see him twice a year, and you can actually enjoy what he's doing because he's not playing your team.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a little crazy that the Chargers snatched both of the Ravens running backs with Gus Edwards and
yeah. Hey, that's Jim Harbaugh football for you right there. He's gonna run it down your throat all the day long.
That is petty as shit, but I love it. Okay, well, speaking of one of those teams from that game last week, we got the Saints. They are headed to Dallas to take on America's team. I don't like saying that; it's gross.
Yeah, and I don't know why you went there.
I know. I'm trying here. Yeah, we got the Saints on the road versus the Cowboys. You know, there's quite a few games this week that we shouldn't have to spend too terribly much time talking about. The Cowboys are just better.
Yeah, the Cowboys are better, Bob, and I think they win this football game, so I'm going to take them at home here. But this 6.5 line, I think the Saints can cover this for sure.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, if they lose this game by 4, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, late minute touchdown, failed onside kick, or try and get a stop with 3 minutes left, and the Cowboys just run the ball until the time expires type deal. I could totally see that happening. I think the Saints played well. At the end of the day, they won an NFL football game by 30 points. Right? That's huge. It's really hard to do. So. The Saints are rolling in with a ton of confidence. It's going to be hard for them not to get up for this football game on Sunday going into Jerry World. So I think it'll be an interesting watch for sure to kind of see, okay, is this Saints team actually going to compete for a division championship, or was that just a fluke and an indictment on how bad the Panthers are? But give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that they're not going to have to face is Micah Parsons. Yeah, that's one thing they didn't have to deal with last week.
Sure.
They have to deal with it this week.
They do.
You see how explosive, Parsons, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, like you saw those 3 guys.
Yeah.
Bosa, like those 4 guys. You saw just game wreckers.
Mm-hmm.
Like those
hell, even Aiden Hutchinson had a really fucking good football game.
Absolutely. It's wild that there's you've got those edge rushers that can just absolutely change the whole dynamic of a football game. Just one dude, completely just wrecks everything. And it's, the Saints are going to have to figure out what to do there. Also want to give a big shout out to Joe Alt. I don't know if anybody watched his highlights against Max Crosby last week, but dude, he fucking handled him very well. First game, rookie going up against a top tier edge rusher. Jim Harbaugh made a good decision there at 6 with Mr. Joe Alt. So it's always fun to see good O linemen just putting in work in the trenches.
Absolutely,
it's just one of the most undervalued things that you can watch during a football game. And it's just 100%. A ton of fun to see them just these big dudes just so athletic, just quick.
Usually it's only a good thing if you don't notice the O line.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you're not bitching about the O line, you had a great day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to a team that had some big news last week. One of these teams involves the Brazil incident. The good old Green Bay Packers. Last play of the game.
Tough.
Jordan Love sprained MC. He didn't tear anything, which was great. Obviously we don't want to see anybody get hurt. Yep. That field was questionable at best. We'll just put it that way. It looked rough. And then you've got Anthony Richardson and the Colts, headed to Lambeau to take on the Pack. So remind me, who's going to be playing quarterback for the Packers? Is it Malik Willis or is that the number 2 guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Malik Willis in Green Bay, first season after leaving Tennessee. Interesting. He looked like a lost child out there on that last play of the game, just trying to figure it out. But
I mean, that's kind of what we saw in Tennessee as well, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're so quick to move on from him. So this line open at I'm taking Colts -3 all day. Especially you're getting even odds right now on that.
Yeah, that's when you go from up and coming elite quarterback to Malik Willis.
It's tough.
That is a big change.
And the Colts played well last week. And one of the knocks that is typically on Anthony Richardson, and Todd alluded to this last week, is his accuracy looked great.
That 60-yard deep shot to Alec Pierce was that was that arm strength is, I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody's got a better fucking cannon attached.
That was his 18th start since high school.
That's nuts. So not even a full NFL season.
18th start since high school, including college.
Wow.
Yeah, the upside on Anthony Richardson is just fucking nuts. It's nuts. But it's such a risk as well. But he could end up being the best quarterback in the league. That's how raw he is. I'm not saying that we'll look at he is that, or
I get it.
He's in that conversation right now.
The ceiling is very high for that man.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, we're talking like Pantheon high.
It's very high because it could be only, and the reason why I allude to that is because he is so raw. He's got such little experience. And I mean, there's a lot of belief in what they're doing over there from and Shane Steichen. So I think that this could be a really, really positive thing in Indianapolis. And shout out to Alec Pierce, the recipient of that 60-yard bomb. Go Bearcats! But that was it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I know Alec Pierce is probably on most people's waiver wire acquisitions this week if you were hurting for a receiver.
Yeah.
I do want to keep in mind that he only had 3 targets last week, and one of those happened to be a 60-70-yard touchdown. So
good nugget.
Temper your expectations of Mr. Alec Pierce. He's not a consistent option. He's going to be more of a Lee Evans option, the big home run hitter. That'll get you a big week probably once every 3 or 4 weeks. So
Jordan Shipley.
Great. Wow. What a name drop. What a freaking name drop. I was watching it was one of those videos where it was guess this receiver, and they just flashed a picture. It was basically like a former player for a team that wore a number that somebody wears now. So they flashed Roddy White
and people like Cordell Patterson,
Jericho Cotchery.
I saw that same video.
Some crazy shit. Yeah. It was it was such a throwback. Speaking of Cotchery, team he used to play for, Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns are headed down to Jacksonville, take on the good old Jaguars. Man, what the hell is going on with Deshaun Watson?
Dude, I'm just done with him. I'm just done.
I would love to have Aaron's take right now on how he feels as a Browns fan watching that game.
I know. Week. I think I can. I think I know Aaron pretty well. We lived together for 3 years. I think I can kind of he doesn't like Deshaun Watson as a person, hates him. Absolutely hates him.
Yeah. He
has no choice other than what's in his genes to root for his success when he's on the football field, though, because he loves the Cleveland Browns. And so he wants Deshaun Watson to play good football when he's playing for the Browns. If Deshaun Watson leaves the Browns or gets cut from the Browns or anything like that, I don't think Aaron's defending him in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, no, I've never gotten that tone.
No, I'm just, this is more for the viewers. But I think that he is probably tired of it as well. I think he just wants a quarterback to play good football in a Cleveland Browns uniform for a long period of time. I think he wants to finally feel secure in that quarterback position, and probably felt like they were headed that way with Deshaun, because the last time we'd seen Deshaun before the trade, he was playing really good football, right? A lot of people considered him potentially even a top 5 quarterback in the league at the time. And just the issues that have arisen, and the year off, and then the shoulder injury, and coming back from that, and then not looking good at all. Question to you, Bobby: do you consider starting Jameis Winston?
Yeah, I think it has to be a conversation that's had after the performance you saw week 1. If you're the Browns, and you're at least not having the conversation, then you're doing something wrong. I understand that you paid this man a large sum of money, but you can get out of that contract after this year. So you like at this point, do you just save face, throw his ass on the bench, and try to win some football? He's like, at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you take advantage of this defense. Like this level of a defense doesn't come around that often. Like it's hard to stay consistent on the defensive side of the ball. Defense does win championships. Offense gets you there, but when it's 21-21 last drive, fourth quarter, like you need to stop. Like defense is what gets it done. And I'm telling you right now, if they absolutely blow it, like with this defense, like they're gonna have to face them. Like they're gonna have to go into rebuild mode in the next 2 or 3 years if they can't figure it out, because everybody's gonna want out. Nobody's gonna want to stay. Like, and you're not gonna, you can't blame them. Like it's just a bad environment up there. So they've got to figure out that quarterback situation quickly.
I think Josh has got a good question here in the chat. If you want to throw that up on the.
Yeah, the Browns definitely miss Baker Mayfield. 100%. Like it's the same thing that I have been saying for the last few years, that Baker Mayfield wasn't the fucking problem. He never has been. It's that organization as a whole.
I don't know if that's a fair thing to say. The organization as a whole, I don't know if I'm ready to, because let's look at the organization. The front office has been praised for the way that they're able to structure contracts, manipulate the salary cap, things like that. I mean, Kevin Stefanski was up for Coach of the Year last year. That defense is probably one of the best defenses in the league. I don't know if it's an organizational issue, but something is going on in terms of evaluating quarterback talent. Something is happening. I don't know what it is.
I would consider that an organizational issue if you can't evaluate the most important position on the field.
Okay, but what I guess what I'm trying to make sure, what I'm trying to get across is that I don't think this is like we need to like blow up the organization and start over kind of deal. I don't think that that's what's happening. They are one quarterback right away from being we're having a very different conversation.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So I don't know who's in charge of making that decision, but they need to figure it out, because
there's a lot of teams that need to figure it out, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's not really a lot of teams where you're like, they've got like a dude. You know what I'm saying? There's like 10, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking here. You obviously you've got the Bills and Dolphins. They're good. The Niners seem to be okay.
Are the Dolphins good? I know that they think they are.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going down the potential list here. Like Seahawks, Patriots need a quarterback. Giants need a quarterback. Commanders, we'll see. Chargers have Herbert. At this point, it's a coin flip. We need some more time this season to see what's going on with Herbert. Jacksonville is a coin flip. We haven't seen a ton from Trevor Lawrence. Saints have Derek Carr. The Cowboys just re-signed Dak, so that's obviously pretty cemented.
Yeah.
Packers have Love. Colts have Richardson. A lot of upside there.
Stafford,
we just talked about it.
Obviously, Kyler Murray.
Stafford's getting old. They're going to need to move on from him at some point or another, probably in the next few years. The Jets are going to need to figure out something after this year, because Aaron Rodgers ain't it. There's definitely more than half the league needs to find their guy.
There's a lot going on there. So just kind of bringing it back to the pick'em here. It's hard for me to, after week one, this is going to be a theme that you're going to hear later in these pick'ems, but it's hard for me to invest in the Browns after what I saw week one. Conversely, I felt good about what I saw out of some things for the Jaguars. And so I'm going to take the Jags.
If this was a home game for the Browns, it
just was. They just got blown out at home.
I know.
But way better team. Yeah.
I understand that. But we're talking about the Jags here. The Browns played the Cowboys and hung with them. For at least from a defensive standpoint. I don't think the defense for Cleveland played bad. The offense put them in a bunch of shitty situations.
I guess, but at the same time, I don't know.
I mean, I know it was like 33 to.
Yeah, they gave up
17 or
33
something.
points. You're not winning very many football games when you give up 33 points. However, I didn't really watch a ton of that game other than just making sure Dallas was going to cover or get the win money line, and I was pretty shirred up by the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas didn't struggle in that game at all. But I would love to look at time of possession in that game because I don't think Cleveland's offense was on the field for more than like 15 minutes the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that leads to people getting tired. And obviously, it's what up, Tez?
Lost you, Bob. You're not didn't lose you, but your mic's a little off.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Got
yeah. So
up,
time of possession is actually pretty even. That's crazy.
Really?
Actually, the Browns won time of possession.
Give me the Jags.
Browns won time of possession. They had 30 minutes and 54 seconds to the Dallas Cowboys 29 minutes of possession. They had an equal amount of first downs in the play or in the game. The Browns actually ran 10 more plays than did the Cowboys. In terms of total yards, the Cowboys only outgained 35 yards. They had an equal number of drives in the game as well. Obviously,
yeah, give me the Jags. I don't need any more stats. The time of possession was enough. The fact that it was dead ass even, and they got beat by 20 points. Yeah, that tells me all I need to know.
Cowboys had more penalty yards as well. They both had 11 penalties in that game, and the Cowboys had 20 more penalty yards.
Tells me all I need to know about that one.
Yep.
Pop's coming to the comment. The Watson choice for Cleveland was the most detrimental move ever for the Browns, and how salaries are now hampering teams with the spiral of dollars. Bengals, for instance. I would assume you're probably talking about Jamar Chase. I'm not quite sure.
I don't think that's hampering them. He's got 2 years in the contract. The deal's going to get done this offseason.
Yeah, they're gonna.
I think they've moved on.
He's going to get taken care of at some point. I think they've made it clear whether or not he plays this year and gets hurt or whatever it is, they're going to take care of him. Kind of like how the Cowboys did with Dak. They gave him a monster deal after he snapped his ankle in 7 pieces. So I don't think there's any question that Jamar Chase is going to get paid.
What that did, though, was prevent any other team from doing a guaranteed quarterback deal. It actually, the Browns deal benefited the rest of the NFL.
I think I would agree with that, Corey, because I think like that you said it correctly. Like no quarterback is ever going to get a fully guaranteed contract.
I don't think any player will.
Yeah, because Deshaun Watson he's the person that ruined it for everybody.
He was the first, and he will be the last.
He will be the last. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and that's why you saw the Ravens hold out on Lamar. Like. This is the exact. I mean, obviously Lamar, came back and had an MVP season, which is fantastic. But chemistry, saying chemistries are being destroyed because people are holding out for contracts. I think there's an argument there.
I think that makes sense from the outside, but I think if you were to talk to these players, they would probably say like, "I get it. Like, there's not a big deal." And maybe that's a front that they're putting on Charlie.
Well, I mean, there's probably going to be mixed reviews. Like, you're going to have some players that are like, "Hey, man, go get the bag, man, do your thing," and then you're going to have other people like, "Dude, like, get your ass in here. We're all working. Like, you're going to play week 1 regardless. Like, we want to see you in here working, so we're prepared." Like, there's going to be mixed conflict on each side of that coin. So, Tez, you are a few picks behind. I'll go ahead
off the 1 o'clocks, baby.
So we'll start Bills Dolphins. Was the Thursday night. We got 49ers Vikings. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the Niners because I don't think you're gonna take the Vikings. You're probably taking the Cowboys. I'm gonna go ahead and pencil that one in for you. So I need Bills Dolphins. Seahawks, Patriots, Giants, Commanders, Chargers, Panthers, and Colts, Packers. So let me know what you need me to follow up with you on. We'll kind of take it from there. But all right, well let's move on. We've got the New York Football Jets, Jets. They are taking on the Tennessee Titans in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we have talked quite a bit about Will Levis and these Tennessee Titans. But let's flip the script here and talk a little bit about the Jets. Was there anything last week that like you saw from the New York Jets that you were like concerned with?
Where do I start?
I know, right?
An anemic defense, skilled players that aren't skilled. There's a lot of things that I was wrong. One thing that I wasn't worried about is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers still has it. I think it's very clear.
Yeah, you look good.
I think it's very, very clear that Aaron Rodgers absolutely still can sling the fuck out of that football. He throws it so hard. It's crazy how hard, how much power he can generate and how fast it is generated when he throws a football. Just the dropped balls, just wide open drop passes, the fumbles, the lack of ability to generate any kind of push on that front four from the offensive line. You could visibly see the frustration on Aaron Rodgers' face. And I get it. I get why. And that's kind of how he is. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. That he should be used to it at this point. That said, I still feel more confident in this roster than what I'm seeing across the way over there in Nashville. I'm with the chat on this one. I'm taking the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, this just is solely due to what I saw out of the Titans last week. Titans are in shambles. I don't think this game's going to even be remotely close. I think Aaron Rodgers wants to come out and prove a point this week against a bad football team. And I think if you have anybody on the Jets offense in your fantasy leagues, start them. So good waiver wire pickup in a lot of leagues is Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard looked fantastic last week. He had 7 catches, 100 yards, and a couple 7 catches, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Aaron Rodgers still likes that Green Bay connection that followed him to New York. So be on the lookout for him. All right, so Tez is catching up here. Seahawks, Commanders, Colts. Love is out for a few weeks. Yes, Love is going to be out for 4 weeks. He was put on the PUP list, I believe. So he's confirmed out for 4 weeks. So let me get this all caught up here.
That would be IR if he was put on out for 4 weeks. I don't know.
Oh, you're right, IR. I don't know why I keep saying PUP list. And you took the Colts. Okay. Yep. So I need your Bills Dolphins pick and your Giants Commanders pick. And
you got Commanders. You took Commanders.
Or I'm sorry, Chargers Panthers. I'm just gonna put you down for the Chargers. You ain't taking the Panthers. I'll give you that one. Nobody's taking the Panthers. Yeah. So Bills Dolphins, and then you're all caught up. So yeah, we all got the Jets this week. Ariel, I don't think I've. Oh, you just had it in there. Sorry, I missed it. Everybody took the Jets. Smart. All right. This should be this in my opinion is going to be one of the more fun 1 o'clock games to watch. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road in Detroit. Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield looked fantastic. The Lions coming off of a overtime win against the Rams. David Montgomery was just unstoppable on that last drive. I don't know what answer they thought they had, but man, do they miss Aaron Donald. That's all I'll say. This is gonna be a freaking shootout, man, and I am here for it. So, Corey, what are you thinking for this game? As our resident Lions correspondent.
Sure, yeah, live here from Detroit. I think that the Lions did exactly what they had to do. The Rams did a really good job scheming to take away, Amon-Ra and limit his production. And they answered with, okay, David Montgomery it is. And I think the Lions are kind of maturing as a football team at this point. And you got to like to see that a team that can kind of ride through the ebbs and flows of a football game and still come out on top. Rams are a good football team. Let's be very clear about that. The Rams are a good football team. They lost Puka Nacua for a little bit.
Cooper Kupp's back.
Puka Nacua could be out for more than 4 weeks, Sean McVay alluded to today. So, let's take that into consideration. I think the Rams are better than the Buccaneers, and I think this is going to be a tough task for Baker to go into this environment. I think he's going to kind of live up to this, but it's going to be a really good football game. Let me check. I don't know what the spread is here offhand. I'll pull it up. I was just looking at odds. Bear with me here as this loads, but he's going to be looking for a little bit of redemption, is what I'm alluding to from that playoff loss. The Lions going back to back with playoffs, 7.5-point favorites. I'm hammering Tampa Bay plus 7.5.
For sure.
I'm hammering that.
This game's going to come down to who has the ball last.
This is going to be a great football game, and it's going to be. I'm excited to watch it. That's for sure. I am going to take the home team. I think the Lions can quickly demonstrate that they are, if not the Niners, the favorite in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really be upset with everything that they've got going on. They've got a great young offense.
How do you stop them? How do you stop that offense? What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, you've got Jameson Williams as your deep threat. Amon-Ra can do everything. Laporta is your check down, sure hands guy. You've got.
Thank you for bringing up Jamo. I completely forgot to bring up Jamo, and thank you for bringing it up. I mean, he's a huge part.
Yeah, he had a great game last week too. And then you've got that dual-headed monster in the backfield with Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah, man,
you got the speed and the power. Like you got the off-speed pitch, and you got the 105-mile-an-hour fastball. Like,
and you got David Montgomery on a low veteran contract. You got Jahmyr Gibbs on a rookie contract. You just locked down Amon-Ra, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff. Like, you've got your core, and you're ready to ride. You've got Sam Laporta, Sam Laporta on a rookie deal as well. This team is got answers at every. You want to shut us down in the passing? Okay, great. We're gonna just run
down your throat.
Exactly, and we've got the offensive line to do it as well.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a fun football team this year.
Yeah, I mean, not to take anything away from what Baker did last week. Mike Evans looked vintage as always. Somehow he, like every year, he continues to look the same age and play the same age. I just don't know. That dude's unbelievable.
Is he the next Larry Fitzgerald? I think he's kind of in that conversation now, right?
You
he's
might
a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You might have to have the conversation where he's taking a step above. I mean, he's had more straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons than anyone. Like
ever.
I think he's creeping into that.
Well, no. There's a caveat to that. Jerry Rice has had the most receiving consecutive. Mike Evans has had the most to start a career.
Yes.
He's never not done it.
He does not seem to be slowing down.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
So yeah, I think Mike Evans is creeping into that GOAT conversation. I don't think he's there yet. He's still got a few more years.
Still surprisingly underrated.
Yeah, I don't understand why people continue to sleep on this man. He's sick. Was he 6'5"? And he's
6'4", like 220.
Semantics. He is a large man that can run like a gazelle. I just looked
at him. I'm just guessing. Let me see. Let me look it up. Chat, what do you got? 6'5", 225. You were dead on the height. I was pretty damn close on the weight.
You were close. Absolutely. Yeah, he's a monster. And yeah, I mean, Rachaad White looked good too. They've got some offensive weapons there. They still have Godwin. They've had that pretty much same core of receivers for quite a few years, so they all know how to play well in space. And obviously, if it's a broken play, Baker can stretch it out. Something they haven't had for quite a while. It's just they're an exciting team to watch. They're going to be a fun team to watch the whole year, and I'm looking forward to this matchup. This will definitely be the best 1:00 game that we get to watch on Sunday.
It's the one I'm watching.
So, yeah, looking forward to it. The next game is probably going to be a big snooze. We got the Raiders headed to Baltimore, take on the Ravens. The Ravens are just going to beat some ass. I mean, that just is what it is. I don't know.
Hey, here's the deal though, Bob. Here's the deal though. 9-point spread. That's what the Bengals opened up. The Bengals opened up with against the Patriots. Back-to-back weeks of major upsets. Hey,
don't get me wrong.
Sign me up for an 0-2 Ravens team. But give me the Ravens in this game.
I'm taking the Ravens. I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to take the Raiders here, but man, could you imagine?
I'd be sick.
Dude, I would be so happy it's it's one of those things where it's like that's one of the only teams that I will just root so hard against.
Well, especially looking at where your team is sitting, Bobby, coming off a win last week, and looking at the rest of the division, that's the only other team that has you're like, yeah, they're winning, right? If the Ravens can drop that one, and you can,
we'll get to this. We'll get to the Steelers schedule here in a minute because it is something I want to talk about.
Sure.
But yeah, I think everybody across the board, Ravens. Yeah, not a tough pick this week. So I know we've been leaving out Aaron and Todd's picks, but they've all been on par with us the last basically the last 5-6 picks. So not a lot of discrepancy there, but we are going to have some discrepancy in this next game between Aaron and Todd. So Aaron, for this next game, has got the Rams on the road versus the Cardinals. Aaron is taking the Cardinals at home against the Rams, and Todd is taking the Rams at home against the Cardinals.
This is on. No, the Rams are on the road.
Yes, the Rams are Rams are on the road in Arizona, Phoenix. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Aaron's got the home team. Todd's got the away team. We all know Tez is picking the Rams, so I'll go ahead and pencil that in for you, buddy. And then Corey, what are you thinking here, man? Rams Cardinals.
I don't know if I'm really ready to say the Cardinals are like a legitimate football team yet.
Steven, thank you for the feedback, man. Appreciate it. For those of you that are on YouTube, we just said great job with the stream. Just want to pop in and say hi. Hope everybody's night's going well, and thanks for talking in depth about each game and our picks. So now we appreciate it, man. This is why we come in here and do this week in and week out. It's a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. I don't know if I'm really ready to just like, the Cardinals can compete with anybody. I mentioned this at the beginning of the season when we were talking about the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to be a team that win or lose the most one possession games in the NFL this year. That is who they're going to be. They're going to be the Jaguars like 3 years ago. That's who they are. And you're like, wow, this team could do something. They've hung in there with a lot of people, and a lot of these games are close. And
what a comparison! That's
this is who they are. This is who they are. This is who they are, right? And when I look at this matchup, I kind of give the quarterback play a wash. I think Kyler at his best and Matt Stafford at just below his best are kind of the same quarterback in terms of like what value they bring to their team, not necessarily in style of play.
Sure.
When I look at these defenses, neither one of them really give me anything to be excited about. But when I look at the weapons, and then mostly when I look at the head coach, that's the reason why I'm taking the Rams in this one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest shock for me last week was I didn't really like the way Kyler Murray handled his post-game interview and kind of deflecting the responsibility and, specifically talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. He basically said something to the effect where it's like, it's not my job to get him the ball every time. It's my job to go through the progressions and listen to whoever his name is, I guess the offensive coordinator or something like that, and just, run the play. He missed Marvin Harrison Jr. on quite a few plays.
Well, he's not a leader. Kyler Murray's not a leader. I don't think there's any question.
And that's where like when I think of Matt Stafford, I always go back to that rookie season where like he dislocates his shoulder. They call that timeout. He goes back in the game. He throws the ball with like obviously his only good arm, and then like he can't like this is as a rookie, and obviously he's well into the league. He's a awesome
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Hall of Fame quarterback at this point. And I just look at this from a leadership perspective. I love Matt Stafford. He's one of my favorite players, and I will never pick Kyler Murray over Matt Stafford. I would take Matt Stafford 10 days out of 10.
I don't share your love for Matt Stafford being a Gators fan. I don't.
I understand.
I think
he's a bulldog, but
he's a hell of a quarterback. Can't deny that.
He's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So it looks like everybody in the chat is following suit. Rams. So Aaron is a true lone wolf on this one.
Ow.
Steve, we appreciate. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some not so fun upsets for a few members of this panel last week. So you got to be careful with those words around here, Mr. Land. But speaking of one of those upsets last week, we got the Bengals on the road in Arrowhead. Corey, you've experienced that. You've experienced the Bengals in Arrowhead.
I have.
That would have been a hell of an experience to be a part of.
Dude, it was fucking nuts. I'll never forget it. It's one of those moments, being there to see your team take down the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life, God willing. And
yeah, that's such a cool thing. Like I'm a Pittsburgh fan for those that are new here, but yeah, I mean, still like going on the road and seeing your team take one from what is said to be the best team in the NFL on a a perennial basis. It's that had to be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
little envious, but all that being said, I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs here. Bengals did not look good last week. I don't think that trend continues. The stat that I saw that really shocked me was Zach Taylor in week 1 of his coaching tenure in Cincinnati is 1-5. And through weeks 1 and 2, he is 1-11.
Yep, 0-6.
Or what? Yeah.
Or 0-8. No, 0-6. 0-6.
It's something bad. He's only won like he's won one game.
In week 2.
Yeah, he's never won in week 2. He only has one win in week 1.
So he's due.
That's what the stats say.
So it's my roulette strategy. If it's just reds on the board, I'm hitting black.
You just double down on black every single time.
I'm doubling down. Give me a large bankroll. It's gonna hit black eventually.
Just the law of averages at that point.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Gotta give.
It's gonna happen, right?
What's your assessment of this game, though, man?
I mean, what the fuck do you want me to say? This is like I know, but like this. I mean, I'm just so fucking sick and tired of starting the seasons like this. I am so tired of digging out of a hole. Don't get me wrong, it makes the next like 4 weeks nail biters. Like I'm in playoff mode already, like started the season. And
you just don't want to be there.
You don't want to be there, and you didn't have to be here. You didn't have to be in this situation. You could have done this right here. You could have done this a lot earlier and just been ready to play. You could have done that, but you didn't. And I think week 1 is more an indictment on this front office than it is on anything. I will never, ever in a million years side with a billionaire over a million.
I almost completed your sentence for you because I knew exactly what you were going to say.
It won't happen. It won't happen. I will not side with an owner of a franchise versus the player that literally puts his livelihood, his well-being, his future, his life on the line every week for this team. I will never side with somebody in a front office over the player who, by the way, deserves to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league. Is he the best? No, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about market value and when the contract is done. You could have gotten a cheaper deal than Justin Jefferson, but Ja'Marr Chase probably wouldn't have signed at that point. He wanted to wait for Justin, and rightly so. There was a point in time where Derek Carr was the highest paid quarterback in the league because when he got his deal done. That's just the way this shit works. That said, I think we're beyond this now. I think week 1 was an indictment on this front office. I think we're ready to move on from this point. I think the Bengals are ready to move on. I think Ja'Marr Chase is ready to move on. I think they're ready to focus and move forward. But there's nothing in week 1 that gives me confidence about what this team's going to be able to do in Arrowhead. There's nothing that this team has demonstrated. I think Dan Orlovsky put it best when he said, there's nothing physical about this Bengals team right now. There's nothing physical, whether it's the defense or the offense. It's all finesse is what he said. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that part because I think it comes down to execution and scheme. At the end of the day, Andy Reid and Zach Taylor know each other pretty well at this point. They've played each other at least once for the last 3 years. Sure. So, they know each other pretty well. But I think the Bengals have everything to gain and nothing to lose. I think everyone in the world is ready for the Chiefs to just blow them out. And that's a good spot to begin from an underdog perspective. You have nothing to lose, but I'm taking the Chiefs. Let me be clear about that. I would be very stupid and lose a lot of credibility with our viewers. I think if I took the Bengals here, there's 0% chance I want to be right about this.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say, one takeaway, is that in 14 personnel, the Bengals had 80% success on their runs. They were able to run the ball. That was the Zach Moss touchdown was in 14 personnel.
Yeah.
When you have two tight, you had Drew Sample and Mike Gesicki out on the field. And I think that that's something that they're going to need to do. They're going to need to kind of become this more even-keeled offense. They didn't throw the ball a whole lot with Joe Burrow, only 30 times. I think less than 30 times did Joe Burrow throw the football. Yeah. But you have to be able to do that and attack down the field. You have to be able to do both of those things. Mm-hmm. This offensive line got a lot of shit last week. I put most of these sacks on Joe Burrow, to be honest with you. Joe Burrow was pressured the least amount in his entire career on Sunday. This is more on Joe. This is more on not being really ready to go.
Well, I mean, he's notorious for holding on to the ball and trying to stretch plays. And, he's even admitted it himself that a lot of the sacks that that the offensive line gets charged for are on him. Like, he's openly admitted that in multiple interviews.
Yeah.
So,
and depending on the situation, like a 3rd and long or like 3rd and 8, what's a sack?
Yeah, that's not a bad sack on a 3rd and long.
What's a sack? Right? You're going to if there's nothing there, if there's truly nothing there, what's a sack? It's nothing other than a blush.
More room to punt.
Sure. And they need it with this motherfucker. Did you see this? Ryan Rakow, did you see what this kid did?
No.
70-yard punt through the air. Bengals record. Rookie punter.
That's nuts.
That is crazy. It's crazy. He punted from our the Bengals 20-yard line and ended up being a touchback.
That's a pretty solid boot.
It's wild. Absolutely wild. I'm taking the Chiefs. There's a lot of weapons out there. Well, it's just a smart bet. I think that there's a lot of weapons on that team. Xavier Worthy showed us that he is a wide receiver in the NFL. Rashee Rice, how are you playing football right now? I don't know.
Xavier Worthy looks like Tyreek Hill 2.0.
Can we talk about this, Rashee Rice? Why are you allowed to play football?
Not sure.
Can we?
No idea.
What the fuck are we doing? This is just insane. Whatever.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. I don't know. I thought yeah. I thought they had a pretty firm stance on things like that, and obviously he's having the ability to play because of legal litigation and all this bullshit.
Well, we're gonna wait to see what the court. Shut the fuck up. This guy. Yeah. He did what he did.
Yeah, like he ran, whatever. We're not going to dive into it. Everybody already knows the story. All right, so coming up now, we got another AFC North contender here. Pittsburgh Steelers headed to Mile High. AFC North leader taking on the Broncos. Man, did TJ Watt look fucking unbelievable last week?
Sure did.
What's
new?
Yeah, right. That I'm still a little baffled on how they called him offsides on that play. He timed absolutely just phenomenally.
He was just faster than everyone else.
Yeah, he was literally right on the ball and just got in there and took care of business. And the ref did admit to making a mistake there, but obviously it was too late. It didn't matter at that point. They still got it done. The offense did not look great. I think there were some things that Fields did well, but that I think that's to be expected. This is his first big transition to a new team. He's still getting comfortable. It's his first game. There were a lot of nerves in that first quarter as well. You could see it. He was making a lot of just fundamental errors in that first quarter, and I chalked it up to nerves. But I don't think Russell Wilson's ever going to see the field. I think that went out the window when he sat week 1. And we won. Justin Fields, he didn't play great. He didn't, he took care of the ball. And I think with this defense, that's really all you have to do. Just be a game manager. Take care of the ball. do your best to put. I mean, Chris Boswell, holy shit, that dude, 4 50-yard field goals and 2 40-yarders.
He's been one of the most consistent kickers in the NFL.
Nuts, absolutely nuts, dude. Like every time he lined up, I was just jonesing. I'm just pissed off I didn't pick him for my fantasy team because he had like 30 points or whatever it was, 27 or whatever, however you score kickers. Some leagues I know he scored over 40. So some people inflate kickers, but yeah, I'm taking Pittsburgh here. You know, I think that defense is going to carry them through a lot of games this season. And I did want to dive into the schedule a little bit because although, you know, the back half of the schedule is pretty daunting, I think the front half is actually not too bad. So obviously we took one from the Falcons last week. That was a game that we did not expect to win. Obviously we got the Broncos this week. The next few games we've got Chargers. We're home against the Chargers, on the road in Indy. We're home against the Cowboys, on the road in Dallas. Jets, Giants. Jets, Giants, Commanders before we get into these divisional games.
I think you're 4-3.
If we can come out, you know, 4-3, 5-2, and on a delusional end, you know, 6-1, that would be crazy.
6-1 would be nuts.
Guys, the Cowboys is an L. The Chargers, that's going to be a good game. The Colts, we can win that if we can contain that offense. Jets is going to be tough. Giants, Commanders, those should be wins. We should get a win this week. So that's 4 of the first 7 that we should win. And then the other games are coin flips, in my opinion. So we have a good opportunity to have a really good start to the season, and then the back half of the season is just going to be absolutely fucking brutal. So if we're going to win football games, we have to do it in this first half of the season. If Mike Tomlin wants to keep his streak going, he needs to walk out of here at a minimum 5-2. He's got to figure it out.
Tough. It's going to be tough.
So we'll see. But I think this is a very, very winnable game. The Broncos offense did not look great. You know, Bo Nix went into Seattle, struggled, you know, and that defense is not even close to being on par with where the Steelers are at. And
yeah, at this point, is this an indictment on Sean Payton? Like at this point, like when Bo Nix is your leading rusher, is that what are we doing?
Yeah, man. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, I think he gave up. Like I still think Russell Wilson's got some football in the tank, but you know, I'm not sure that. I think they would have benefited more from having Russ there this year and letting Bo Nix sit and learn and process, and, you know, taking that Packers route where you let your rookie sit a year and then bring him in. But that's just not the way that Sean Payton rolls. So yeah, it's one of those things. But man, I love what this Pittsburgh defense has going on, man. They are electric. And I think Minkah Fitzpatrick finally has a good complement on the other side, you know, in that defensive backfield, you know, in that high safety area. So, I mean, then you got Highsmith, and it's just they're all I just love what's going on there. So, Corey, who do you have?
Steelers are on top of the division right now. They will continue to be when they win this week and go 2-0.
Absolutely. And then we did just add Terrell Edmonds as well, which is fantastic. So, looking forward to that.
Does nothing to my penis. It does nothing.
It's just another piece, man. Just another piece. All right. So we've got this is the Sunday night game, which I think everybody anticipated this Sunday night game to be a lot better than I think it's going to be. We've got the Chicago Bears headed to Houston. Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud. Man, Caleb Williams. Tez, you're gonna have to explain yourself here, man. Because I at this point, if this trend continues, you owe me.
It's not a trend. It's not a trend. It's been 1 week, Bob.
Dude, he looked so bad.
I know, but every rookie quarterback looked bad.
Not that bad.
Other than Jane Daniels. Bo Nix didn't look good.
He didn't look Caleb Williams bad.
I'm not writing either of them off at this point.
Man, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I don't ever want to see a rookie come in and struggle. But for as much shit as Caleb Williams was talking about getting like investing, like getting shares in or stock in whatever team drafts him, like, and then to come out and just shit the bed week 1 against Tennessee, whose defense is not even that good. Like,
hey,
just imagine when he gets up against some actual real defenses in the NFL.
Let me just clarify my point. Coming out of college, I didn't love Caleb Williams. I was very, very off the Caleb Williams trains pretty early. Pretty much ever since he started crying in the stands after losing a college football game is pretty much when I wrote him off. I don't know if I can necessarily say that he's not going to be good. I think he has a lot of skills. I just think he has to do a lot of growing up. He's got to do it really fast. I just don't think, while the Bears defense, I think, is going to not necessarily shut down Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is not having another 157-yard game.
I don't think.
Hats off to him.
Did he ever do that in Cincinnati?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes. He absolutely did. But let me say that I'm happy for him to have success. I will always be a supporter of Joe Mixon.
Absolutely. It's kind of like when Whitworth got one. Like you hated to lose, but
let me be very clear. I do not want the Texans to win a ring before or win a Super Bowl before the Bears. Let me be very clear about that. So I don't want him to win a Super Bowl. I just want him to do really well, and have success, because I root for my guys. He will always be a Bengal. Joe Mixon is a Bengal. I don't care what you say. Anyway, I think that the Bears do slow that down a little bit, but I don't see how the Bears keep up with the Texans, right? I think the Texans still score points. I just don't see how the Bears keep up with it. So give me the Texans.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the Bears defensively have a decent shot to contain them for a bit, but I just think the Texans offense is better. And I just don't think the Bears showed last week that they could not put up points to save their lives.
Let's be clear. We're all watching this game. We're all tuning in. Caleb Williams, prime time, the number 1 overall pick, the apparently the second coming of Jesus Christ and CJ Stroud. They're all together here to watch.
Oh, I'm off Monday, so you better believe I'm going to be up with a lot of beers in me.
Gonna be sauced, Bob.
So,
yeah, sauced. Absolutely, sauced.
Yeah, I mean,
ladies and gentlemen, that's the juicy truth, brought to you by Rhinegeist Brewery, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Not a sponsor, but they could be.
They could be. So. Fucking could be.
All right, and then last game of the week, good old Monday night. Man, I hope this is a good game. We'll see. We got the Dirty Birds headed to Philly to take on the Eagles.
The Eagles.
Tell
me what Todd and Aaron picked.
Yeah, so fun fact, this game is split
from our absentee Colorado boys, and I think one of them got a little bit too much into the Denver before they made their picks.
Yeah, so Aaron took the Falcons.
I wish I had an explanation for this.
Yeah, there was no context. It was just Falcons. Also no context on the Eagles, but that's to be expected.
I mean, a 6.5 point favorite.
The one thing I want to say is that it is a beautiful thing to finally see Saquon be Saquon.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Like, dude, like that jump cut he made from the 12 and then just like literally blew by the, each line, like secondary, like he got to that third level. But like, could you imagine if that happened on like the 25-yard line and then you just watch him just get shot out of a cannon and run an 80-yard touchdown? Like, that would have been nuts. But man, it was fun to watch him run the ball, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much fun. Falcons struggled. Obviously, played a very good defense week 1.
Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown.
Kyle Pitts did score a touchdown, which was fantastic. RIP to all of you Drake London owners last week. I took a big L. Big L. Cost me 2 of my fantasy leagues.
I drafted him his rookie year for Dynasty, and I'm still waiting for that ROI.
And I'm not ready to give up on him this year just yet. Week 1 was a tough matchup against. I don't think anybody expected the Steelers defense to come out and do what they did. Like we expected them to be good, but I don't think we expected them to like not allow Kirk Cousins to breathe.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't expect it. I thought the Falcons offense was going to just put in work. And I thought that their defense was going to play a lot better. And then not that their defense played bad, but
they're going against a much different offense this Monday night.
Yeah. This Eagles offense is top tier.
Yeah.
Top tier. AJ Brown looked great. Saquon
Smith looked good.
Jalen Hurts looked phenomenal. Like, sucks to say it, but like, man, he looked good again. Like,
I was really not sold on him his rookie year. You guys know, like, my concerns with him was his inability to put his eyes in that kind of mid-tier range. It was always just downfield all the way when things kind of hit the fan. But he's matured as a quarterback, and I mean, obviously, this front office has invested around him. It's like you'd be silly not to think otherwise. But yeah, this is a pretty easy one for me. I'm going to take the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm not sure where
Kirk Cousins in prime time. Come on, Aaron, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I promise I didn't pay Aaron off to throw the season, but he's got some pretty questionable picks the last 2 weeks, and this is one of them. So, yeah, that's it, man. I mean, it's pretty much even Steven for most of the pod here. Obviously, we got a few differentiations, but what are your games to watch this week? I know obviously we want to watch Bucks Lions. Is there any other game that really gets you going?
Yeah, it really fires me. I think the Thursday night game is great. Like I said at the beginning of the pod, I think the NFL did a really good job with their first 2 Thursday night games.
Yeah,
so I'm excited about that one tomorrow night. I think I will be interested to see if San Fran can be, this effective again against the Vikings, who I think just kind of match up really well from a defensive to offensive standpoint. I don't know about the offense to the defense side of things, but I think the Vikings can cover that 6-point spread, but I'm going to take the Niners, obviously. So I'm interested in that one. My undivided attention will be on Detroit. I'll be keeping an eye on San Fran, Minnesota, as I just alluded to. I'll be keeping an eye on Anthony Richardson and seeing if he can, replicate another really good game.
I'll tell you a game I'm actually really excited to watch is the Rams Cardinals.
That's going to be a great football game.
I want to see if the Cardinals can compete in that football game.
But let's be honest, I think the game to watch in the 4:00 slot, no slight to your team, it's the Bengals Chiefs. It is. I think it's.
I mean, they always play each other really well.
We got to see if this is this enough to kind of pull them out of the beginning of the year slump that they always go. So I think that's where a lot of.
Is this the earliest they've played the Chiefs?
It is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, maybe it'll, for your sake, maybe it'll spark some playoff juices and get some different motivations going because they certainly.
How do you not get up for it?
They need something.
How do you not get up for this game?
They're sitting there on the table, and you're cooking up the paddles right now. Like you gotta find something, bring this team back to life.
Absolutely.
It's week 1 was not it. So, but chat, I think that's a podcast. As always, we definitely appreciate everybody's participation. I'll shoot out some messages to those who were not able to tune in and put their picks in live, so we can keep track. But leaders in the chat's 3-way tie between Josh, Dad, and Ariel. I've got the lead right now in the panel, solo flying here. So hopefully we can keep that trend continuing. And so I don't finish in the cellar and have to do some dumbass punishment.
I mean, are you and I differed on any picks, Bob?
Let's take a look here. So yes, Seahawks, Patriots. I've got the Patriots. You've got the Seahawks.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
I feel good about that one. I feel good that that's the only one we're different on. I feel good about not having to ride on the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're all pretty much the same except for Aaron's delusion. There wasn't a lot of straying this week. Last week
there won't be a whole lot of movement.
There shouldn't be. Well, yeah, there won't be.
It's good for you. If the Patriots win, you're
the only thing I'm doing is Ty and Todd. So 'cause I think we're pretty much the same for the rest of the way down. We are. So depending on that game, I could either take a 2-game lead or I could be tied. So we'll see how it shakes out. But chat, until next week, we will catch you guys then. Hopefully all 4 of us will be back and ready to fly. So peace.
Bye.